Yo, what's up, Dragon Ballers? Today we're going to be doing a tier list. So, as we've been doing throughout the week, we've already done green, we've now done red, and now today we're going to be looking at black. So, let's jump into it. So, here we are. We have the black leaders. So, of course, there are some good ones, there's a lot of bad ones, and there are some ones that are not too bad in general. But there's a lot less black leaders than there are of all the other colors so far. So let's start with number one here. We have Son Goku. Now this is the double strike one. You burst your cards in your drop, then of course you're going to be able to easily overround that way as well. But I would say right now, I would probably put this leader into somewhere towards the back of good locals. It is actually still a very good leader. It's very punishing to your opponent for how aggressive it can be. But of course, if you're versing something that can handle early control, then yeah, you kind of a dead fish out of water at that point. Then we have the Dark Broly. Now this is still a very good deck. I would definitely put this ahead of the Goku. It is just such a powerful leader still. It did get hit with the whole ban errata limited lists, but it is still very good in general. I mean, you still see it today being able to top in locals. So yeah, I think it deserves its spot up there. And now we've got Gogeta, Fateful Fusion. Now, this is a leader that, of course, it was very strong during its time, but there's just not that many Gogetas in general now that you can kind of just play off it. It's a lot less. So it lost a lot of its strength. And, of course, putting 5 cards into your warp, it's not really helping you that much anymore because of that. So I would say, could you build something strong out of this and take it to locals? Yes, you could. But it would be less effective because there are just other mid-range decks that are black that can do a lot better job. For example, Broly, that can do a lot better job right now. Then we've got Shroom and Salsa. Now, there is an old one and there's a new one. So the old one is actually better than the newer one that they made. And I'll give some credit, by the way, to Jeffrey from my locals. He is a great Dragon Ball player, and he really knows his stuff when it comes to black decks, and of course a lot of other decks too. But shout out to Jeffrey. Thanks, mate. We have the Shroom Salsa. I'm definitely for his face as well. I'm going to put him up here. He deserves to go to good locals. You can perform very well with him, but of course, just because of, like I said before, a lot of the other decks that we're going to see later, they just outperform in general. But it's still good. Could you take it to locals? Could you perform with it? Yeah, you could. Supreme Kai of Time. Now, this is probably one of the best black decks that we have at the moment. I would definitely put this in competitive. It earned its spot. It's been performing very well. It's very consistent. It's got a lot of damage. But yeah, we've got the Mecha Kabora. Now, the Mecha Kabora, it is good. I've seen it played. It performs very well. It's very consistent, but there is just not that much support for it at the moment. It's just a little too slow. So I'm going to have to put that, for now, I'm going to put that in meh, but maybe we might move it up. Then we've got the Sin, the Black Xeno Sin Shinron. This is actually a very good deck. There are times where we have seen it just climb up the ladders, and then it just disappears again. I think it's more of like a best of one kind of deck. It is very good though. Does it deserve to go into good or locals? I'm not sure about that. I think for now we will put it into good locals, but it would definitely be towards the back. I think Sin is definitely better than the Shroom Salsa. Finn, that's also good locals. That's a very good one-off deck. Now, we've got the Crimson Warrior, the God Trunks. This is a very good deck. That is definitely going ahead. Reason being is it's got some pretty good defensive cards, like the Pan. It's kind of like its own topo for the deck. It's very handy just because black kind of lacks that special defense. So this is a very good card to have for a black. And the leader actually does a pretty good job. Because you're putting things in your warp, but you're also using things from your warp consistently. Cards in hand aren't too bad. It's pretty decent in general. Of course, if you're going to be up against like a yellow Margin Vegeta or a Gamma or something like that, then yeah, you're going to have a bit of a hard time. But it's still pretty good in general. Deborah Swap, Hello Darkness, my old friend, goes to trash. We have the Toa. This is the token Toa. This was actually pretty good when it first came out. And I remember they removed the secret identity Masked Saiyan to stop it from removing all the tokens that you played. But did we really see any play of it? Nah. So I'm going to put that in meh because you could still perform with it, but it's just not that good. Then we've got the newer Shroom and Soul. So I think that was like set 15 or set 17. It looked interesting, very Naruto / Digimon looking, but it's not good. I'm going to have to put that towards the top of trash. Now, of course, the one and only, the one we've been waiting for a long time, we got something good. Now, we have the Cumber. Now, do we put Cumber in meta, competitive, or good locals? I would love to be able to put it in meta, but sadly it's not. Just because it's not defining anything in Black. There's nothing that when you play this, you're like, wow, this is breaking the game in some way or shape or form. It's just very, very good. Now, I would say it is definitely better than the Supreme Kai of Time. It's just a bit more aggressive. You can draw very well off it because of the whole Servant and Overlord. And yeah, it's a very good deck for now, of course. And then we've got the old Mirror. This is trash. I don't care what people say. It is trash. We got the old Trunks. That's also trash. Demegra. Now, this is out of all the Black decks that we've ever had. This is, for me personally, the most fun Black deck. The support for it, it's old now and it's not as good, but there was so much support for this deck. It draws pretty decently, as long as you also are attacking your opponent's leader card with your leader. It is a very strong deck overall. I've built it and I played it for many, many years, and I made it just super aggro, so you're just overwhelming stuff constantly. Would it keep up today, though? So, would it go good locals? Personally, just because I've played it so much, you know how you've always got that one person who maybe still today plays like King Cold, but maybe it's kind of shit at the moment, but there's always that one guy that shows up with it, and they blow other fish out of the water with it. Now, I was a lot like this with Demegra, but today, if I play Demegra, and let's say I go up against, what's a more of a mid-range? Let's say Vegeta Trunks, right? Then I'm going to have a big problem, because their defense is so much stronger than me. I can't survive that. I eventually will run out of good negates. I will just flop. So, yeah, I'm going to have to say, for now, it's meh. But you can still go pretty aggressive with it in general. Then we've got this Mirror. This is also just trash. This Vegeta. Now, people wanted to make something out of it, but it's just not that good in general. I'm going to put that here. I would probably say Deborah definitely goes higher up. These leaders are just really bad. They didn't really do anything for you. You didn't really draw. You didn't really set up your drop to be able to warp things that well compared to what a lot of other ones did. Like Demegra was probably one of the best cards for being able to set up your drop to be able to overwhelm. I would definitely say the Super Saiyan 4 Goku good locals, yeah, it deserves to be there just because they made the new promo as well that were allowing you to be able to play your Goku Xeno as like a 5-cost card for a lot cheaper. And of course, the leader itself is double strike, so it's pretty good. And then of course, you're also sending cards from your top of your deck to your drop. And then we've also got the Goku. Now this this Goku deck was good for such a long time. It's a very powerful deck, but I've versed it recently, and I've versed it with quite a few other different decks. Even with the yellow Gotenks deck, it's not that good anymore. It doesn't really do that much. Its power is just kind of poo-poo. So I'm going to have to put him in meh, but he'll definitely go at the very top of meh. Because it's consistent meh. So we'll keep it there. Yeah, now this is just trash. don't even need to get to that. Hechiak. Now, Hechiak. This is a very strong deck. Very rogue. At the moment, because of all these boss monsters that are like 8 drops and that, it's a little less special, but the support for a Hechiak in general, to be able to attack with like more than 7 cost cards consistently, it's not that great. But the deck in general, if you have a good pilot, it's a very good deck. So I'm going to put that in good locals, and it's going to go to the very top for sure. I think Dark Broly deserves to go in front of Crimson, by the way. And now Kid Buu. Now this deck was strong for its time. It was very strong. They also made some promos and some support for it. But today, sadly, it has to go to meh. It just doesn't do enough. I'm going to have to be generous, though, and put it probably above Demigra. Bulma, no. I think it was a terrible leader. I think there was so much potential for it, but it just flopped. Zeno as well, it's not good. It's not a good deck. It's pretty leader, and we all thought it was going to do something, but it didn't do anything. The older Toa, it's not good as well. That's also trash. And, AOD. Now, AOD is a very strong deck. I would definitely have to say that AOD would be probably, I would have to put that ahead of Hechiak, just because we do see more play of it. And, of course, Rogue is just good for its time, and then it just kind of goes away. And then we've got the Toa Mechakabura. This was okay. I think, in general, the deck was pretty good, but today I'm going to have to put that in meh, because you do not see any play of it. Sure, that there are definitely some people at locals that have their specific deck that they always stick to, and they can perform very well with it. And respect to them who can do that. A lot of people have that for each color. But that deck just does not see any play. So sadly, it's going to have to go there. And then we've got the Rainbow Bardock. Now, this Bardock was a very, very good deck when it came out. And then they made some shitty support for it, and it just didn't do anything. So it just started disappearing. It really got Thanos snapped. So I'm going to have to put it probably at the back of Locals Good, because, of course, it has its own ultimate, and it still is consistent, but it doesn't draw too much. Its defense is pretty decent. Its damage is pretty good, but it just lacks newer support that actually does stuff for it. So I'm going to have to put it at the back. Would these other ones be ahead of it? Yes. I think the order here is pretty damn accurate right now. I would say, Finn, Shroom Salsa, Sin, I think it goes like that. Maybe Shroom Salsa, you know what, just for you, Jeffrey, I'll put it ahead of the Xeno Sin. It's a good deck. And then we've got the old Broly, the legendary Legends Dawning. Now, this one I got a bit of help from Jeffrey to figure out where it would go. And because I've never really versed this deck before, so I didn't really have much insight, so I did a bit of asking around for it. And so Jeffrey was saying it is more of a deck that deserves to go to good locals, because there are some people that have topped with it, but it is just another rogue deck, of course. So I'm going to have to put him into good locals, but I would probably put it towards the back. I think Finn goes just behind the Prismatic. Yeah, I would say something like this seems more accurate. Finn is a good deck, but there are so many ways to deal with it, because you lose your cards temporarily, then they come back. So if you can just, stick with one plan, you've got it with that. It's very easy. Now, the Gohan. This is a very cool leader. There's so many different builds I wanted to make with this, but it sadly just doesn't do enough. I would say that this would have to go into meh, but I would put this somewhere here, because it is still a very strong leader. I believe you can give yourself, I think it was either dual attack or double strike or something like that. It's a very good leader. Announcer, there you go. There's a fun deck. Now, Announcer, I would have to put at probably at the top of meh. We all want it to be good. We all do, I know. It is a fun deck. The idea of playing as an announcer leader is freaking hilarious, but it just doesn't do enough. There are definitely some people out there who can perform very well at locals with it. I'm sure of it. I have no doubt. But could it compete in like a best of 3 against, let's say, Cumber, Supreme Kai of Time, AOD, Hachiak? Probably not. I don't think so. So I'm going to have to put it there. And of course you can prove me wrong. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of these. Magenta. Now, this was a super fun deck. I think it's still pretty good right now. But there are just so many ways you can just shut off that deck by just removing their field. And then they have to reset again. And eventually they're going to run out of things that they can play. So I'm going to have to say that it would go into locals good for sure. But it won't be right at the top. I would say it would go somewhere, probably here is a good spot. I think that makes the most sense. Maybe ahead of Crimson. But I do see a lot of people lately being able to perform Crimson at locals or even some regionals. Of course, they're not topping with it, but it's still very good. Then we've got Vegex. Now, Vegex was a crazy deck, and then it got banned, it got hit, it got errated. Too bad. I would love to see it come back again. I'm going to have to say, though, it was very good, but today it just doesn't do enough, so I'm going to have to put that in meh. I would probably put that somewhere here. And I'd put these ahead for sure. And then Demegra, I think it deserves to go ahead. It's got more support. Then we've got the old Bardock. Now, this Bardock, it was pretty good. Would it compete today? No, it sadly would not compete today. I'm going to have to put that at trash. The newer one is a lot better. And then we've got the Shinron leader, the Wish. Wish just doesn't do enough right now. It's too weak at the moment, so it has to go in trash. I would probably put that somewhere here. Probably still ahead of the other one, the Super Shinron. Old Announcer, I would say it would go in trash as well. I think Deborah's swap is still better. And Porunga, I would have to go to the back of here. I think Porunga was better, though, than Super Shinron. And then, of course, we're missing the hyper aggro version of the newer Bardock leader. So we would definitely put that, and we're going to use this as a placeholder. I would probably put that somewhere here. I think it would go somewhere there. I didn't include it because for some reason when I added the image, it was microscopic. So it wouldn't fit in properly. But yeah, I would put the newer version somewhere here. It is a very good deck. You can give your leader critical. It draws pretty decently as well. You can just keep taking your lives and just swinging for aggro. It's a good deck. It lost a bit of its power, though, because of losing Chumper and the Kais. But it is still very aggro today. Yeah, and if we had to move anything around, would there be anything worth moving? I mean, I definitely would like to know in the comments below, where would you rank some of these? If you think some would go higher, if they would go lower. I would probably be... I'm quite happy with where most things are. I would say the Mecha Kabora... yeah, I think this Mecha Kabora is still better, though, than Demigra. I would probably put it ahead here. No, you know what? Actually, it would go higher. It would probably go to the top here. Oh, man. It's almost good locals, to be honest. But at the same time, we don't see enough play of it. It deserves... Okay, I'm going to keep it in the top of meh, but if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments. And yeah, we'll keep it like this. I hope you liked the video. If you like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. If you haven't subscribed already, do so. Thanks for watching. Peace.